Jordana Miller on the ground in Israel because she lives there. And she's done amazing reporting and continues to do that for ABC News. Well, good morning, good afternoon to you. What can you tell us about this ceasefire? What are the facts?
Well, a dramatic move overnight with Israel approving the hostage release deal. And here's what we're expected to see, possibly as early as tomorrow morning local time. In total, 50 Israeli women and children will be released over the span of a 4-day ceasefire. So each day, a little over 10 hostages released over that time period. Israel will allow in 300 trucks of aid, a lot of fuel as well, and Israel will release jailed Palestinian women and minors who've been convicted of security infractions here, measure it to those 150, so it'll be about a 3-to-1 ratio each day as well. Right now, Israel, there's a waiting period for anyone who wants to contest the arrangement per Israeli law, and so by about 5 in the morning, that waiting period will end, and all sides are working to implement the ceasefire and see the first hostages come out tomorrow morning.
But Jordana, Netanyahu has said that even after this ceasefire, the war will continue. That's not going to stop.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. This is a temporary ceasefire. It has a little bit of flexibility. If Hamas agrees to release any more hostages after day 4, it will be given, for every 10 hostages, it will be given another day of a ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire. But the maximum is 10 days, another 6 days from the deal as it stands now. And then Israel will continue this war. Israel's Prime Minister and the Defense Minister have been crystal clear about that. They still have not pushed Hamas out, and there are still strongholds like in the south, in the city of Khan Yunis, which Israel has not really begun to operate in yet.
Do the people you talk to on the inside, do they believe the hostage numbers, the estimates of hostage numbers? Because, I mean, honestly, we don't know how many are alive, right?
Correct. We don't know how many are alive. We know that the estimate is that 236 are being held by Hamas, a small number of them held by Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and even some by gangs in the Gaza Strip. Of the group coming out, 30 will be children, but 10 children are unaccounted for. Hamas has said they don't know where 10 of the children are. That is under the age of 19. There's still going to be women left there, as well as the Israeli soldiers, men and non-combatants that are men, and some Israeli women who were in uniform who were kidnapped. And we don't know how many of the remaining, almost 200 that will remain, how many are alive or not. That's something, we just don't know at this point. It does also include, by the way, at least 30 foreign nationals, non-Israelis.
There is a little 3-year-old that I believe turns 4 today, Abigail Edan, who has become the face of this tragedy to some extent. We don't know if she's involved in this or if she's going to be part of this release, but certainly we hope so.
Sources tell ABC News that she is on the list to be released. We don't know if we'll see her on the first day or the last day, but this 3-year-old, and God willing, she was taken with her sibling and her mother, will all be released. We know that she is on the list. She does turn 4 on Friday.
Okay. It might sound like a silly question, but I mean it with all seriousness. Obviously, that's the discussion. But we all have a TV image of a hostage release and how it happens, and this is going to happen over the course of 4 days. The notion being the terrorists release the hostages, the fighting starts again, and the Israelis know where these hostages are being held firmly. Is there any sense of these hostages will be released in different groups from different parts of Gaza, or it's impossible to know?
Right. Well, they will be released in smaller groups each day. And, Israel has agreed that there will be no aerial reconnaissance, no drones flying for a 6-hour period in the Strip, because Hamas demanded that. They didn't want Israel to be able to pick up any of their movements as they go to, to announce, to take the hostages and get them to, we believe the Red Crescent will be accompanying them to the Rafah border crossing. They are believed to be kept across the Gaza Strip, not in one location. So Israel has agreed to that. Naturally, Israel feels that it has other ways to monitor Hamas's movement besides drones.
Jordana, is there any update on the last time we spoke to you? The Israelis had raided the Al Shifa hospital. Now international law is coming into question about how those raids were carried out and whether those were internationally legal.
Well, I don't even know that angle.
Right. Well, so that angle, Israel disputes that angle. They say clearly Hamas was using the hospital for military operations, and so the hospital loses its immunity under international law, right, during war. Hospitals usually have immunity. But there have been some developments over even last night. For example, the tunnel that the Israelis found that was built 30 feet down and ran for about 60 yards, and then it came to a barrier. Well, Israel blew through that barrier yesterday. And lo and behold, just as the Israelis had anticipated, they found a continuation of the sophisticated tunnel on the other side running down, running through towards the hospital with the cables, electricity cables, concrete, everything. So, the Israelis, they have not yet found the cavernous areas they believed were used as control and command centers, but there's good reason to believe they still will.
Yeah.
This is a sensitive operation that takes days. They're basically, going through what could be a booby-trapped tunnel underneath Shiva to find.
That's a great point as well.
Yep.
So once these hostages are released, it's not as simple as, well, now they're okay. They do have to get them to the Red Crescent, the Red Cross, for understanding here, and safe passage out of Gaza. So God bless them if you're in.
Right. And then Israel.
Yes,
right. And then Israel's, meticulously preparing for how to receive the hostages, especially given that there will be many young children.
Right.
So there's already five or six hospitals that are preparing wards for the hostages, with even the protocol, even the special forces that will be on the other side. They are training to meet and greet these frightened children, and even down to the script of things that they will say to these children over and over again. And then they will be brought to the hospitals, and they will be dealt all of their medical issues. Will be, malnutrition is a possibility. Other things. Some of these children that needed medication haven't had it for weeks. So Israel has all of their profiles, all of their medical folders ready. We know who all the children are, and once the medical professionals know who they are from the time they get to the crossing and they get to the hospital, they'll be able to, start caring for them. And after several days, they will also be debriefed, of course, by the Israelis, which will be a possible source of intel for Israel in the war.
It's Jordana Miller, ABC News. Stay safe, and thank you for the reporting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jordana.